That's right, we're closing it out tonight. Hello. Welcome to the show. It is 6:59 p.m. on the East Coast. We are almost on time, which is not like me. I'm usually about 4 or 5 minutes earlier than this. But you know, I'm just, I felt a little dangerous tonight. Feeling dangerous tonight. Welcome to the show. It's Good Friday. Hope you are all very reverent today. And it's going to be a little bit, for this audience, it's going to be a long weekend because I won't be, after tonight, I won't be back on the air until Tuesday. I'll probably do something on Monday. You know, not from here, but maybe I'll go live from the back porch with a cigar or something if it's a nice night. Maybe we'll go duck hunting together or something. I don't know. But I'm so happy to be here tonight and wrapping this one up. It's going to be a little bit of fun, a little bit of breaking news that I'd like to discuss with you all. And I noticed that Matt is here. What's going on, Matt?
Hello, Francis.
How are you feeling? What are your thoughts on the whole week right now? Are your spirits high? Are they low?
It's a holy week.
So you're feeling inspired?
Yeah, I think I want to become a priest.
Have you been talking? I was going to ask you if you gain any, get any counsel from your cousin during times like this of the year.
No, not really. But I mean, I can. I've talked to him. I've asked him things about religion. If you
ever go back to confession, would you ever let your cousin do it, or you don't want him to know?
No,
you don't
can't do it.
You don't know. Yeah, I know, because there's still just something about confession that I can't. I
think he asked me that once. I'm like, yeah, no.
He asked me. He was going to let me confess at the house. I think it was on Aurora's baptism day, and they just never got around to it. I was actually interested in doing it then, but. Anyway, there's so much going on right now, and I want to talk about some news, and we'll get to some fun. The big thing tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to bring up is, aside from all the news, I want to be able to I want to take some calls from people in the audience who may have ever been a part of the GATE program in elementary school. Now, I know all about this. I've known about it, and then I forgot about it. I remember it happening, people getting brought in for tests. I don't think I ever did, though. Although I remember the squiggly lines, and I remember those kind of flashcards. Then again, they're the same cards that are used in Ghostbusters when they're doing all the precognition tests in the beginning of the movie Ghostbusters with the electric shocks. And so I don't know what the hell I'm remembering, but I'm familiar with it. My cousin Sherry got in touch with me and said, hey, by the way, did you ever do any testing for this GATE program? Because I remember I did, and I think it's the 80s or whenever it was with Sherry. But I went out and I dug up all the stuff that I had on it. And I'm just going to read some generalized notes for you, see if it triggers any memories for you, anything. Because it's not so much about whether or not they can find some kind of talented academic minds out there to get them into accelerated programs here and there. And a lot of people feel that there is some sort of a psychic scouting. There is psychic scouting going on with this program. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of very harmless on the surface things that are happening, but you know how the way that data is processed and how they get intel on people. So I wanted to bring that up and see what bounces back. Maybe nothing, but I'm going to at least do it. So it's Good Friday. We got some good stuff going on. Matt's here in studio. I want to poke around to see if anyone is with the in with GATE, but also I want to remind you all that this weekend we're going to have Easter programming on QuiteFrankly.tv. Biblical biopics, all that stuff. It'll be playing all weekend on QuiteFrankly.tv. Tonight will be the roundup, the weekend roundup, but especially on Sunday, all day and into the night. And I also want to tell you all right now, go on over to quitefrankly.tv and take a look at a lot of the new look that we have dabbled with and we have set out there. There's going to be a little bit of tweaking along the way, but I want to thank Lauren for all the help she gave me, and the advice she gave me too about the website. And we just worked on that together, and of course everybody on the studio end, and Gabe. Gabe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Abe. You're Gabe tonight.
Gabe.
You remember
Gabriel Susan Lewis.
You remember when Abe called in, and he had the echo, and it sounded like there was a seagull, Anthony, with the echo, and we called him Babe the seagull. Now he's Gabe. So thank you, and Cody. But also big thank you to Al Gorbachev out there in the chat room. You've probably seen him kicking around there too.
Al Gorbachev.
Yeah, he's been helping out a lot, especially on the visual end of things. So that's who did our new banner on the website. Things have been nipped and tucked, and I think it looks great. So I hope that more and more people watch on quitefrankly.tv every night. That is the official home of the website, powered by Foxhole. All right. Over on to our grab bag. You ready for this? Oh, that's something else. We'll do that later down the line. Listen to this, Matt. Climate change. This is from Yahoo Sports. Climate change is adding 50 home runs a year in baseball.
So Aaron Judge is going to hit 100 home runs this year?
Oh, yeah. It's all going to go to him. Climate change is contributing to all the homers that are being hit.
I think it's just the players are bigger and stronger than they were.
The bats are lighter, more dynamic. The balls are wound tighter. You remember when they actually loosened the stitching of the balls prior to, I think it was the playoffs?
I didn't know that. But I was actually thinking about that today. Like, I was thinking about, like, Hank Aaron. Dude hit, like, 30 home runs, 20 seasons in a row? You think he ever fucking lifted weights? You think he ever went into the weight room and lifted weights? Hank Aaron?
They conditioned.
He was a skinny little fucking guy.
They conditioned. I mean, you ever see Willie Mays?
Willie Mays, with another skinny guy.
But dude,
was just cut up, right?
Ripped.
Yeah.
Willie Mays was ripped. Now, obviously, they had strength and conditioning. They conditioned back then. They were working out. They were staying in shape, no doubt about it. It wasn't as scientific as it is now.
Yeah, it was all science.
But, some of the greatest home run hitters in the world, you think about Hank Aaron, obviously. You think about Roger Maris. Mm-hmm. You think about
Lou Gehrig.
Willie Mays. Dude, you take a look at their, first of all, the forearm.
Yeah, Lou Gehrig had huge arms.
Well, Lou Gehrig,
his neck.
He was a mensch, so I wouldn't even put him in the same category as everybody else. He was brolic. These guys, they are slender and athletic. It's just the hands. It's the bat speed. If you can generate bat speed, you can slug with the best of them. And their forearms, you can just see just every fiber rippling. It's incredible. Incredible. The Titans of the past. Yes, indeed. But that's what they're saying. They're saying that climate change is making major league sluggers into even hotter hitters. No, they're not. The strikeouts are ridiculous.
Wouldn't that make less home runs? Wouldn't the hot air make it more dense? Isn't that why more home runs are hit up at Coors Field in Colorado? Because the air's thinner, because it's colder, because it's hotter?
Right. Well, they've always attributed to the flight of the ball. I was actually telling Lauren about this the other day, how the flight path of the ball is totally different in different kind of weather because the pressure in the air, wind, obviously.
Stadiums, yeah, the way the wind, yeah.
But in places like Colorado with the Rockies, altitude is a significant factor in how objects in the air fly because of, wind resistance or whatever is not.
I don't know. It just seems like the air's thicker when it's hotter. So I would think that would make less home runs.
They don't know what they're fucking talking about.
No, they don't.
Here it says, it's basic physics, they said. When the air heats up, molecules move faster and away from each other, making the air less dense. If it's a muggy night, how are you going to tell me that the air is less dense? Like there are some nights over here in New York in July, you need gills. You need gills to be able to breathe. How are you going to tell me that the air is less dense? Baseballs launched off a bat go farther through thinner air because there's less resistance to slow the ball down. Just a little bit farther than can mean the difference between a homer and a flyout. Well, wait a second. Wait a second.
Where's the fucking scientist?
Wait.
What's his name?
When air heats up, molecules move faster and away from each other, making the air less dense. Oh, so that means this is fucked up.
No.
I can't.
Is that true?
Yeah. You know what? Somebody who knows, call in.
Yeah,
because
the scientist that lives in Colorado? What's his name?
This might as well be The View right now, because what the hell do we know?
Well, we know more than them.
I know, but this sounds like how they try to wiggle through a conversation that they obviously have no scientific background on. I always thought that, hotter, moist air is going to be a little bit more of a hindrance for the ball in the flight path.
Yeah, because then it swell the ball up and all that too, right?
Yeah. So maybe it's just maybe if it's a dry heat, it'll go farther, and maybe it's the moisture.
Yeah.
It's the humidity you have to avoid, and the wind.
Yeah, it needs to be a dry heave.
The southwesterly wind. Okay, so here's another one. This is from Chicago. You remember we were talking about Lori Lightfoot losing her election, and obviously it's Chicago, so what the hell does that have to do with us? But we kind of like golf clapped a little bit to see her get kicked out on her ass. Well, guess what? Turns out, and I said we'll see. It's Chicago. How much better can they produce than Lori Lightfoot? And not much better, it seems, because this is what they have going on right now. Chicago is bracing for tax shock after an uber progressive mayor was elected. And they included a headline from the Babylon Bee on the top. Here's the headline. Sick of the same old crime and violence, Chicago tries electing a Democrat this time. They're so stupid. They all are, in every city. Yet instead of perhaps voting for a centrist, Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson is anything but, and the city is now bracing for more taxes. Listen to this. Mayor-elect's proposal levies on corporations, financial securities, and the rich. They would add pressure on business community in the nation's third largest city that already is grappling with rising crime, high-profile headquarter departures, and fragile finances. Well, let's see what some of these are. Here you go. He proposes an $800 million tax hike without raising property taxes to deal with the deficit and invest in residents and neighborhoods across the city. He said $4 per employee tax on large companies. Additionally, plans $1 or $2 per. Oh, it does. You know, it almost sounds as bad as here. I saw that Tennessee is the best place in the country to live as far as state taxes, cumulative.
Yeah.
That, depending on whatever your federal income bracket is, that follows you all over the place. But if you live in, I was looking at all the best states, and as of whatever this article I was reading, might have been a year ago, I don't know, it was only 5% cumulative of all the stuff that from the state. I don't think that counts local, but still, that's better than 13% over here in New York.
Yeah.
You got 13% from Albany. You've got whatever the hell your tax bracket is for the federal. So that right there will get you close to 40, 50% sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have local taxes. You have local. I mean, you're talking about well more than 4 or 5 months a year that you're working for free.
Yeah, and local taxes are just as ridiculous as the federal taxes. You're talking about like school taxes. You got to pay school tax if you don't have kids that go to school.
I don't want to pay for any of the kids around here.
And the schools are overcrowded over here. You got to pay for new wings of schools being built because there's too many people.
I have a friend. I was talking to him. I was talking to a friend of mine just earlier on this week, and he was complaining about all the building development in town and stuff like that.
Do you see the fucking crane?
Oh yeah. Because they're going to squeeze in another building right there in that little corner.
5-story building or
right
8-story?
It's all over the place because they need the money badly. Because all they're doing is we cater to either rich single professionals that work in New York City and want a place to crash at night because they can live next to a train station.
Yeah,
and they want rich or well-to-do, gainfully employed young professionals who are crashing here because they want to live in the city. And then you have the tens of thousands of illegal immigrants, and you have this shrinking middle-class suburban base that is being chased out of town with their retirements to the Carolinas. And you would think with all these big buildings that they're putting in town that would generate enough money to alleviate what you're asking families that have been here for generations. But no, not. My friend said, you know what they really need to do? It's all these illegals, and this is a Peruvian friend of mine. And I said, "Oh yeah, oh absolutely." He goes, "We need to get them." And then he breaks my heart and says, "We got to get them. We got to get them paying taxes. We got to get them a pathway to citizenship." I said, "What? What?" I said, "We need to nail the southern borders shut for at least a decade, and start asking people to go home
and open up a port of entry."
Oh
like
man,
it was back in the day.
Oh gosh,
who is that? Pope John Paul II on your shirt?
No, it's Vigano. Might as well be the Pope. But, yeah, I think about that stuff all the time. So, I look at Chicago and I can't laugh too much because even if you live in a sane state, you can't run away from D.C. And D.C.'s just as crazy as this Brandon Johnson guy is.
Well, Chicago is really just an extension of D.C. Right?
Well,
just in New York City.
Speaking of New York, listen, did you hear this? This is a mother whose son was murdered in New York City. Unloads here, this as Benny Johnson says, unloads on DA Alvin Bragg for ignoring murderers while politically prosecuting Donald Trump. Take a listen to this.
Our show before, and you lost your son. He was murdered. And here we have Alvin Bragg focusing on President Trump for paying money to some lady that he might have had, a relationship with.
Well, they picked up a new slogan. No one is above the law. If no one is above the law, then I don't understand how Alvin Bragg could dismiss murder and gang assault indictments against two of the people involved in the murder of my son. Because it seems to me that murderers are above the law in New York City. So all of this, no one is above the law, nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. We see it every single day in the black and brown communities, every day, all day. Everyone is above the law. They're not even making it to the DA's office. The cases are not even being prosecuted, period. All right? They're being released from the precincts with a desk appearance ticket to a referral to a community-based organization that has shown no measurable outcomes of effectiveness of what they're doing with our millions and billions of tax dollars. We see crime rising out of control every single day. And Alvin Bragg is doing absolutely zero, all right? They depending on data, all right? Anything over 0% of collateral damage is too many.
And you voted for Trump in 2020.
Absolutely.
Will you vote for him?
I will vote for him again. I am a proud black conservative.
Okay. Frank, let me get to you.
Yeah. And I was there too. I was about to speak, but we don't need to hear that tonight. That's not Chris Ann Hall. What the hell's going on here tonight? Wake up, Frank. Yeah. Those are the people that are always ignored too when you talk about crime and police, and everybody goes and they play their game and they scream and stomp and they say all their slogans and shit. They forget that there's a lot of people who are actually trying to live decent lives, no matter what their income level is. And those are the people calling the cops because they're afraid for their lives because they don't want to be caught up in the collateral. Then when a cop shows up and has to discharge a firearm, he's the problem. Meanwhile, they're being called to the scenario, to the situation to the neighborhood because people are scared.
Yeah, the people that have to deal with that inner city crime, like you said, they're the ones that get ignored. You have some white liberal telling you the city's safe,
Well,
everything's fine.
They don't care about. They don't.
But
care.
they're not living in there.
But it doesn't even in that. Yeah, exactly. As long as they have a nice, clean habitat for themselves, they're fine. But everything else, they don't care about the death toll because ultimately, it's really just about maintaining public appearances and winning some greater battle at all expenses, and that means the expense of a great number of people's lives and livelihoods. They don't care, as you're going to see soon. Even more so. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're starting this one up. It is Good Friday. Wrapping this one up tonight. Good night. Be right back.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!
That are popping up on Telegram and Twitter and all that stuff about Ukraine.
No, it's just a giant money laundering operation.
Well, we know about the money laundering, and we know about the real history of Ukraine and the United States and all that. So, I mean, this is not, none of this is going to be a real big surprise to people in this audience. For everybody else, it's going to be either another opportunity to say, okay, maybe I'm being lied to. Although, if Nord Stream did not nudge you in one direction or another, or nudge you in the right direction, then forget about it. But here's this. A new batch. This is the latest I can find. So I guess there's more than one batch now that's been found. New batch of classified documents appear on social media sites. A new batch of classified documents that appear to detail American national security secrets from Ukraine to the Middle East to China surfaced on social media sites on Friday, alarming the Pentagon and adding turmoil to a situation that seemed to have caught the Biden administration off guard. They are always caught off guard. Sometimes it leaks to the Twitter. Sometimes they find things that shouldn't be there in one of Biden's garages. The scale of the leak, analysts say, more than 100 documents may have been obtained, along with the sensitivity of the documents themselves, could be hugely damaging, officials said. A senior intelligence official called the leak a nightmare for the Five Eyes, in a reference to the United States, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, the so-called Five Eyes nations that broadly share intelligence. Another way of saying spy on each other's citizens for them. The latest documents were found on Twitter and other sites on Friday, a day after senior Biden administration officials said they were investigating a potential leak of classified Ukrainian war plans, including an assessment of Ukraine's air defense capabilities. One slide, dated February 23rd, is labeled Secret No Foreign, meaning it was not meant to be shared with foreign countries. Mick Mulroy, a former senior Pentagon official, said the leak of the classified documents represented a significant breach in security that could hinder Ukrainian military planning. As many of these were pictures of documents, it appears that it was a deliberate leak done by someone that wished to damage the Ukraine, U.S., and NATO efforts, which is what this is really all about here. We're talking about just, again, it's the U.S. fighting Russia. It's the Pentagon planning and orchestrating this entire thing. There's trappings of NATO concern because you're talking about border states of NATO, and even though we're talking about a country that's not a member, so everybody's playing a role. They're trying to find a way to involve themselves without being involved, and to push this on. It's the worst. It's the worst orchestrated proxy war ever. But it's working for some people, for the soccer moms in Rye, who have the sun-bleached flags still outside of their house. But there's this. One analyst described what has emerged so far as the tip of the iceberg. Early Friday, senior national security officials dealing with the initial leak, which was first reported by the New York Times, said the new worry has arisen. Was that information the only intelligence that was leaked? By Friday afternoon, they had their answer. Even as officials at the Pentagon and national security agencies were investigating the source of documents that appeared on Twitter and on Telegram, others surfaced on 4chan, an anonymous fringe message board. Fringe. The 4chan document is a map that purports to show the status of the war in eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, the scene of a fierce months-long battle. But the leaked documents appeared to go well beyond highly classified materials on Ukraine war plans. Security analysts who have reviewed the documents tumbling onto social media sites say the increasing trove also includes sensitive briefing slides on China, the Indo-Pacific military theater, the Middle East, and terrorism. So you really wonder what the hell this was all about. Because I'll tell you, if they don't find the leaker, it was them, just like everything else. That's no doubt about it. If they don't find the leaker, then it was them. Again. And where does it say? There's more. And the Russian bloggers warned against trusting any information in the documents, which one blogger said it could be the work of Western intelligence in order to mislead our command. Okay, I didn't get to this part yet. Absolutely. That's what I would think. There's more here. Like, for example, where was it? It was... I think it was on... Hold on. Here it is. Pentagon officials acknowledge that they are legitimate Defense Department documents. So they acknowledge it. Just like they acknowledge that the UFO stuff around the Nimitz was all real. So this smells like shit. And the New York Times reported it first. It smells like shit. But the copies appear to have been altered in certain parts from the original format. The modified versions, for example, overstate American estimates of the Ukraine war dead and underestimate the estimates of Russian troops killed, which it's probably the other way around. Mm-hmm. That there's a vast understatement of how many Ukrainian fighters have been destroyed.
I think so too.
Vast understatement, so. And a vast overstatement of how many Russian troops have been killed. I think it's the exact opposite. Not to say that nobody's been killed, but I think it's the exact opposite. And yeah, so I tend to think that there is quite a bit not to trust about this, if you could believe that. But did you hear about this one though? Russia's merchant of death. The guy that they sent back over to Russia in exchange for the basketball player.
Yeah.
He said he's giving a warning to Trump. He said his life is in danger. Russia's merchant.
Is that a threat?
No, I think he's telling him that you got to watch out, bro.
That's why he needs to hire me.
Somebody needs to let him know that you're here.
I'll just stand in front of him all the time. Russia's
merchant of death offered Donald Trump asylum in Russia this week. Can you imagine if Trump took asylum in Russia? That would be. It's.
He flew to New York, flew back to Florida, then flew to Russia.
I'm going to Russia. What? You know what people are going to say? Saying that he believes the former president's life is in danger if he remains in the United States. Well, everybody's in danger over here. In an interview on Russian state television channel, Victor Bout, an international arms dealer made infamous after his portrayal by Nicolas Cage in the 2015 film Lord of War, which, did we put that on the network yet? I wrote that down as something we have to put on the network. Maybe the week after, 2 weeks from now. Because on Monday night, we have to play Spectre. We're almost all the way through. We have to play Spectre, then No Time to Die the next Monday after that, and then we'll play Lord of War on Movie Mondays. He told the reporter that he had sent a telegram to Trump warning him of an imminent threat to his life and urging him to flee to Russia for safety. The threat against Trump's lifeboat suggested is not from an assassin or some unknown plot against him. Instead, he said, it comes from Trump's own government and as a result of Manhattan District Attorney's probe of allegations that Trump falsified business records to hide a hush money payment to former adult star, what's her name? Trump was arraigned this week. So what did he say? The legal process, which has now begun in New York, won't just end Donald Trump's being convicted and barred. He said he'll simply be eliminated there in jail.
No, I believe him that definitely the government wants to take him out, but he's still safer here because the entire country loves him.
What is that going to do for him if he's trapped inside of a building with people who want to kill him?
I don't know. I mean, if they throw this guy in jail and they really show like they're these tyrants, bro, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, they're telling here's the thing. It's getting more and more violent all over the place. And I said it, I'm not a fortune teller. It's just very easy to see that this is where we're going now with all of the SJW stuff. Well, they're starting to really adopt the social justice warrior aspect of things. It's more of just like a flailing attack, but still they're violent now. You saw Riley Gaines, the swimmer, I
saw she was assaulted or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
She was hit at least once by a guy who thinks he's a girl, but it's still a guy. And then you should see that when she's barricaded up into this, she was appearing on campus somewhere or something to make an appearance and talk about women's sports. And I forget what the full details were, but obviously, like everything else, when these vicious snake demons hear that somebody's going to be on campus, they go out and they make sure that they impose all of every kind of trick that they have up their sleeve to make somebody uncomfortable, to feel threatened, to want to leave, to call off the entire thing. They dance like retards in the middle of an auditorium to create noise so that nobody can listen to what's going on with the presentation.
They have insurrections in state capitals.
Insurrections all the time. I mean, it's one ongoing insurrection. But that's the whole point. This is sponsored by the state. It's encouraged by the state. Just like every last one of those people out there, and maybe some of them know it, and maybe they just really like the fact that they have serious privilege, that they're disposable James Bonds, but they've been given license to kill at this point. You know, it's so incredible to me that we are just about a week and a half removed from that last school shooting in Tennessee, and the way that they have been able to reestablish what is going on in Tennessee. I mean, between all of the trans rights activists that went into all of the state capitol buildings, and now there is this other thing with state senators or
Tennessee 3, they're calling them.
You see what I'm talking about?
They're making them like they're heroes. It was an insurrection, weren't they? Casting a vote or something when that went on, and they had to stop that was what they called the reason at January 6th an insurrection, because it stopped the fucking count or whatever.
This is what I'm talking about. I mean, it's what I'm telling you. This started all the story of Tennessee for the year 2023 began with children being slain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here we are a week and a half later, and they have been able to put several new layers of news having to do with Tennessee on top of everything, and nothing has anything to do with actually being able to diagnose and talk about honestly what was going on a couple of weeks ago. It's incredible. The White House comes in, they say their things. The news comes in and they cover up the bear tracks, and they smooth things over, and they just try to start off fresh until they can have something that they can control. It's sickening, and meanwhile, people feel even more emboldened to go out there and take swings at people, namely real women. Here's the former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines assaulted by trans activists at San Francisco University speech. Outspoken women's rights activist and former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines, who made headlines for speaking out being snubbed of a trophy in favor of a trans swimmer, Leah Thomas, was assaulted by pro-trans crowd at a speech in San Francisco State University Thursday night. She was physically assaulted following a speech she made at Turning Point USA event. Her husband, Louis Barker, said that she had to be barricaded in a room for nearly 3 hours to protect herself after. And there's a lot of video of that coming out. Even these freaks, how they are outside of the room and they're all just kind of, they're just deliberating what to do next. What to do next? How do we let her out? Do we make them all? Somebody made a joke about have them all pay us $10 each. And you see these little water carrying, Smurfy white women that are in there just thinking, oh, we're part of the gang. we're revolutionaries. These they're gonna be. I can't wait until they get the reality that's coming to them. It's just incredible to see these roving crowds, and that's why I say, look at this. She was physically assaulted. She was hit multiple times by a guy in a dress. Said the husband. I was shaking. It made me that mad. It makes me sick to feel so helpless about it. She was under police protection and was still hit by a man wearing a dress. And she's out there doing her thing, but, and she said on her Twitter that the inmates are running the asylum at SFSU. And in many ways, ladies and gents, this is why I usually come back around to saying, it's great to learn and understand the Constitution in our history, but the Constitution ain't going to save us with this. Not going to save us. That you have to understand the nature of this war of dueling cultures and dueling realities. It's a reality war. So just sick. But speaking of school, let me go on to something a little bit more interesting and mysterious, and I'll throw it off to you guys in the audience. You can call in on anything that has been read onto the record or anything throughout the week that you haven't been able to get through on. It's a Friday, so I like tying up loose ends on a Friday. Here's what we have. I had a little bit of a conversation with my cousin weeks ago about the GATE program. And then I went and I dug up whatever I had on it, and I had this old Reddit post from 3 years ago. Said the following: does anyone have any information or experience with the GATE program in school? That's GATE. With the GATE program in school. On 4chan, I have seen things that suggest that many who were in the program share many peculiar traits, and that it also may be created by affiliates of the CIA to conduct MK-Ultra-esque experiments on children. I'm interested to hear what you all have experienced during your time in the GATE program, and if your experience at all is suggestive. Let's just see what these threads are going. Now, the too long didn't read version. That gifted and talented education in America in the 90s and the early 2000s was run by the CIA. Many Anons were in GATE programs as kids and experienced similar weird events there. Now, I think it's older than the 90s and the 2000s, but that's when I was going through school. GATE is gifted and talented education. It's part of the American system. Basically, kids are put through a screening test around grade 3 to 4. Some are selected by the results of the test to go into separate classes, sometimes separate schools, for a day or so each week. Here they are given 3 most advanced memes the state has to offer in order to ensure that they follow the rest of the cattle. Memes, advanced memes. They're given advanced memes?
Huh.
Or better yet, become the left-wing memes and get handed keys to the GATE. So I guess it's really just a recruiting and a scouting mechanism. What are you going to do? Now, here are a few similarities that became apparent as the threads on 4chan naturally evolved. That a lot of people were realizing that they went through this. Blue eyes, hazel seemed equally common, blue and hazel eyes. Occipital bun, a.k.a. the math bump on the back of the skull, a Neanderthal trait. I think Anthony has that. Birth complications, like weeks early or not breathing. Near-death experiences, particularly drowning. Lack of memory of the GATE program. Like, I really don't think, I don't know if I was ever, I remember going in to get hearing tests. You went in to get the tone test, right, Matt?
I kind of remember going into a room in elementary school with the psychologist and having some cards and shit like that.
Let me see if I can get you the picture of the cards. Like, they would show you, they would show you the star, the squiggly lines,
Yeah.
the square.
You don't remember that?
It's familiar.
But maybe because you went to Catholic school?
Yeah, but they would do stuff like that still.
But the CIA wasn't running Catholic schools.
It's not about running the school. It's just about you have access, and it's American education. It wouldn't be. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely remember going into, I think it was, the library before, I think
Well, I can't find it.
Before school started 1 year when I was in elementary school.
Here are a few other traits that people said they had shared that had started to, pile up as a recognizable pattern here. Lack of memory of the GATE program. We all did many, many hours there, and it's very, very vague. Windows were covered in GATE classrooms. Well, see, I would definitely remember GATE windows being covered in a classroom. Tendency to being followed. Abductions and general tracking, too. Law enforcement being extremely lenient and easy during chance encounters. IQs often as high as 130. 100 is the average. Many have IQs in the genius range of 160. Other similarities, less common, but still a few ex-Gators agreed on these as well. Interest in paranormal phenomena. Heavy early 20s drug experimentation period. Forehead scars. Early speech therapy. Firstborn sons. Migraines. Israeli art student girlfriends, not even joking. Meme magic. Meme magic.
What does this all mean?
Premonitions and prophetic dreams, and above average intuition. I'm telling you, there is like everything. Like, you have your Rhodes scholars and things like that. Though not every Rhodes scholar, because I know one, and he is not helping the New World Order with anything. This is the most awkward, inept, socially inept, brilliant. So there is always just a play to the public, the community face. Maybe there is something from the GATE program that is there that could be seen as a good chance for scholarship or being bumped along, but there's always dual use. I bet you any money that they're paying attention to anybody who had some kind of psychic inclinations. Had to be something. Here's a couple of quotes from these threads. Here's one. Hey, back in November, there was an X thread, that's the paranormal thread on 4chan, where people in the program complained about having been forcefully implanted with a chip right in their armpit.
Oh.
The whole thing was very creepy, and despite everything, I didn't manage to find any info on it on the net. Here's another one. Shortly after that, I got tested by doing some kind of drawing thing, and I have to take a bunch of hearing tests, like multiple tests per month. I never knew if I passed. My school recommends that I skip a grade from first to third. I declined since I didn't want to leave my friends behind. Soon, I'm told that I and about 10 other kids are going to be part of the SAGE program. That's gifted and talented. SAGE.
You know what? That was definitely a thing, because what you mentioned, where they would go to a different school for a day or two, there's at least 3 kids in elementary school I remember going to the high school for like a day or two during the week to take high school like classes or whatever. So
Well,
I think that's probably right.
No, there was definitely advanced programs. I mean, I know that there was a couple of kids in my 8th grade class that were taking pre-calculus. There were things like that. They were not in regular classes with us. So there's always that. I don't know. I don't have any specific memories about this, and if I do, then it's just so long ago that I can't make heads or tails of it. But that was 1 day per week, they said. They said it was weird. It was a weird thing where they talked to us about paranormal crap, had us do experiments like, where do you think this picture came from? Be creative. And then they would say, don't look, don't think about it, but just let your hand draw where Mr. So-and-so went on vacation. Lauren just texted me, said, we had TAG, T-A-G, which was talented and gifted. I bet you they have affiliates in every school system. And it just flew right under the radar. And they're trying to see which among us are the Jedi.
And now they're about to get rid of what? SATs or something like that?
I don't know. I think a lot of those, I don't know what the standardized tests are anymore, because even the ones that have stuck around from the time that we were taking them, the scoring, the way that they score things are totally different.
Yeah. Is it easier now? Is it easier now than it was before?
I don't know.
Probably.
But like when we took the SATs, you remember the maximum score was 1,600?
Yeah.
It's much lower now. I don't know how it's accumulated and what's going on. It makes no sense. And well, I mean, it makes no sense until somebody tells me what's going on. But things change a lot. So let's start taking some calls. 914-595-6953. I'll go to your super chats as well. You have a couple of minutes for calls in the first half, and then we will go on over to our wonderful break. Oh, so like I said before, I am so excited about what's going on at QuiteFrankly.tv, because I love spring cleaning, and I love really making adjustments to living spaces, and I consider QuiteFrankly.tv a living space. It's the home of the show. Really snazzy looking. It's becoming more and more functional there, and I can't wait now that this is pretty much all done. We're about 95% done. There's a little bit of this and that to do with the website still, but it's all right. Because from there, then we start spiffing up the on-air, the on-screen presentation. A lot of different things we're going to be doing to change the presentation of the show on screen. And then from there, we're talking about network overhauls and developing new programming, live programming after and maybe even before, quite frankly, on QuiteFrankly.tv. So, This is the workflow I really like. 914-595-6953. Let's go. Okay, so first one up, we have Chris, our ex-chemistry professor. What's going on, Chris?
Hi, Frank. I was in GATE. I worked with a bunch of people from programs like that.
Okay.
And like you were saying, they have a bunch of different names wherever you go. TAG is a really common one. GATE's a really common one. PUNT was one I was in before it became GATE, and I honestly don't even remember what that was an anagram for. But yeah, and then I was a chemistry prof. For quite some time too. So I dealt with a lot of people who had been through those programs. And I'll answer as many questions as I can if you have them.
Well,
your list was eerie. Your list was eerie, man.
Okay.
That got me. I had never come across that, but yeah, I was checking things off.
Start with the list. Let's start with the list then. We'll start with the list, and then I had one or two other questions I think I asked before about this. We'll start with the list. These are similarities that were becoming apparent as these threads were being compiled among people who said that they were involved. Yeah. Blue eyes.
I peed my pants on the Israeli art student one.
Why?
That one caught me.
Why? Go ahead. Why?
I don't have any more commentary on that. I'm just going to leave it at that. That one got me.
Did you date? You dated? Did you date an Israeli art student?
Well, she worked at an art museum. And it was like college, so everybody was a student. So I just assumed we didn't really, like, she was into art. She was trying to decide on her major. It was this.
But she was drawn, and she was drawn to you, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of the things on the list, honestly, probably cross-check with mild to moderate autism too, though, Frank.
Well, yeah.
Like skull shape and stuff like that. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of high-performing people, and there are, like, what is it called, physiognomy?
Yes.
right? Like you had the guy on a while ago that's like you can look at somebody and tell a lot. Some of those I think overlap.
Well, Chris, let me ask you. A couple of questions. You just say yes or no. And if you have to throw something else in there, obviously do it. But I want to rip through this with you. Occipital bun. You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Birth complications. Was there something wrong with you when you were born?
Yeah. I got the front head scar. What were some of the other ones? Yeah.
So near-death experience, particularly with drowning. Any of those?
Yeah.
You almost drowned? When?
This is. We had a pool growing up, and I had a relative that thought it was funny to dunk, and the joke gets old pretty quickly sometimes. I guess is what I'll say about it. Like it wasn't.
Did you have to be
malicious.
Did you have to be resuscitated?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's see. Were the windows covered in the gate classroom?
No, never really had that. No.
Did you ever feel like you were being followed?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They would follow us. There's also testing, right? So the CTBS test was the one that was used to place us originally.
CTBS
So you
test?
go by your percentile on the CTBS test was what it was called.
What was that?
Yeah.
What was done in the CTBS test? Because I remember that.
Yeah, it's standardized testing to give in grade school to most Americans. Well, at the time I grew up, I was like a 80s, early 90s kid, but that was standard, right? And pretty much every year you would get like a cookie or something stupid, so you showed up on testing day so that the school could get their government money, and then everybody took their tests, and then they kept the grades from those, and they definitely did a hard sort based on that.
All right.
And then if you were in the top whatever percentile, you got filtered out into this. At the time, my first one was punt, but it morphed into gate.
So forehead.
Probably late 90s.
So you said you have a forehead scar.
Yeah.
Your firstborn son?
No.
Okay. Migraine problems.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the people I was in there with, that was one of the common things was like, how are you dealing with your migraines?
Whoa.
Because we were all young people, and we all would get them, and it felt like our eyes were bulging out of our head or whatever. And a lot of times, too, it wouldn't surprise me if the gate room had the windows blacked out so that people could go in there for migraines. That wouldn't surprise me. That was kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, who was the authority in the gate room? Who was like the teacher or whoever in the gate room? Was it a regular member of the staff that everyone else in the school saw, or was it like someone they kept secret from all the other kids?
Okay. So this is neat. Great question, Matt. So punt, which preceded gate, was this like eclectic lady from town who was the doctor's wife. And she would basically kind of personally tutor small groups of students all around town. And she was loosely related to the education system, but she was just kind of there. And I mean, but the gate, when it transferred to gate, it was all school psychologists.
That's what
from there on out.
Yeah. Then I think at some point they must test every kid to see if they have something like this, because that's what I remember going in to see the psychologist and him showing me cards or holding up a crayon or some fucking thing and asking me a question.
Okay, so that's clairvoyance tests, and they did do those.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. So then.
Yeah. So you like turn around and look at a crayon, and then the kid can't see the crayon, and they're supposed to guess the color, or they'd have us do a lot of active drawing. They actually paid for me to go take community college classes in drawing.
Okay. Well, listen, Chris, thank you for the calls here. I hope that we get more to come in and build on this one, but really, really, really fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Well, hold on.
Good luck with this. I'm interested to see where this goes, Frank.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. Thank you so much. I want to ask people if they had any offers. I don't know if this was recruitment in some kind of way. Did you?
Well, the kids, I definitely remember two of the kids that went into this or whatever, and then they went, one of them.
Okay.
So.
Well, let's take another call. Let's see. Adrian from Rise Attire. What's going on, Adrian?
Hey, what's up, Frank?
How you doing?
What's up, Matt?
What's up?
How you guys doing?
All right. Were you a GATE program member?
I was.
Okay. So.
Except they called it tag.
Okay, well, it sounds like tag, gate, punt, sage. We've already gone through 4 different iterations tonight. It seems like it's all the same thing. So what do you remember out of all the things that I had listed here? Do you have a lot of things in common?
Yeah, there were a number of things that you mentioned that that applied to me for sure. Like, did you say blue eyes or green eyes?
They said blue or hazel seem to be very common.
Yeah, I have green eyes, kind of hazel, kind of that. But I was in there from like 1st grade to 6th grade, and I remember it actually being like pretty positive, pretty constructive.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you mentioned that about the CIA connection, it like hit me like a bell, like. That was totally what was going on. I mean, they had us making these like 3D puzzles. There was definitely like the psychic kind of test too, and I remember the rooms with the blacked out shades for sure. And they would just take us out of class. In fact, they did this weird thing. I guess it was like in the 90s, so it was like way before they started caring about kids' feelings and shit. But like when they announced like who was going to be in the program, they like lined us all up in the hallway. There was like 60 of us, like every kid from my grade was lined up in the hallway, and they were like, "All right, everyone, if your name's called, step forward." And they called like 6 or 7 of us, and we had to step forward from the rest of the kids. And they're like, "Okay, you guys are talented and gifted. You're in the talented and gifted program." And all their friends are looking at us like, these motherfuckers,
Jeez.
I felt humiliated. I was like, oh my God, why would they do this?
Now, okay, but what you remember is different types of puzzles, and obviously cognitive exercises. Any clairvoyant exercises like guess the shape on the card, or any of these other art exercises where they're talking about not thinking and allowing yourself to just draw without thinking, where a certain character is going on vacation or something like that. Any of those precognitive exercises you remember?
Yeah, absolutely. And because there was like a combination of like your ability to like solve puzzles and like create artistic sort of depictions of what you were thinking, and it's kind of hard to remember, which is the other thing that like struck a chord with me when you said that, is that there's definitely like periods of it that are really hazy for me, when like other periods of time during that same period are perfectly clear. The only thing I really remember clearly was that like we had to go to this like technical school to like compete with all the other kids from tag programs from other schools, and like we had to put on this play, and I like wrote this script for this play that we had to act out, and we were like astronauts that we like landed on an alien planet. That was like part of the play, but everything else, because they would pull us out of class regularly, and I do not have strong memories of like what we were doing when they were pulling us out of class.
That's just there's just some definitely. Oh man, where do you go from there? Like obviously they have their tentacles all over the place. They're looking for something, and at the same time, where they're trying to pick people out of the crowd, or try to figure out where the strongest in every school is. Everybody goes home and drinks that fluoride tap water that brings eventually brings the IQ down. Oh man, well, Adrian, thank you for.
But I'm the firstborn son. You know, I definitely had some drug problems in my early 20s. You know, which thankfully, you know, it's not a problem anymore. I'm a healthy married man in my mid-30s.
Did you have to go to early speech therapy?
That's one of the things too.
You had speech therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is early speech therapy.
I had to go. There's a few of those that I had to go to speech therapy.
Dude, you should. I don't know. There's probably no record, no way to even cross-check it.
And I'm telling you, the psychologist I went to, now that I think about it, he did seem very CIA-ish. Very CIA-ish.
And Matt, to answer your question, you were like, you know, asking about if there was like a special teacher that did it. There was like a special guidance counselor for me.
Yeah.
There was the guidance counselor who was like, you know, didn't normally deal with kids. They were just sort of hanging around. It was this lady, and she seemed nice, but she was a little off, you know. But she was the tag teacher. And I could totally picture her being a spook or something, you know, CIA.
Wow. All right. Well, well, Adrian, this was great to hear from you. Let's see what else we got in the audience tonight. Thanks again, Adrian.
Cool. Yeah, no problem, dude. I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say, it's Adrian Rise Attire. They're the ones that made this shirt for me and surprised me with it as a gift. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, man.
Yeah, it had your name written all over it, bro.
Is this still available on the Rise Attire store?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, if you like the vegan...
you just hit that Shop by Design tab and then scroll to the bottom and you'll see it.
So there you go. The Rise Attire link is on the affiliates page on quitefrankly.tv, and you can get your Vegano shirt too. All right, Adrian, have a good one, man. Thank you.
All right. Happy Easter, guys.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Okay. It's 8:01. Let's take a really quick break. I see people calling in. 575 is calling in. Let me see. What else? 480-714. Shannon from Georgia. Don't stop. Don't stop. Call right back, because we will be right back.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out. Press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to
Quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
We all support quite frankly.
Not quite.
Let's go, Brandon. Quite frankly, in Roma, Italia. Quite frankly, you going on Frank's show tonight?
I really like you. You're very smart.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With Frank.
Okay. Ready? Watch this. Let me turn this off. This is how Italians are born. Oh, when I saw that, I said, "Where's this going?" And then I saw the face coming out of the spaghetti. I said, "Oh, this is. I'm keeping this one. I'm keeping this one." Hold on, let's watch that one more time.
Why the screaming?
I don't know.
Oh, he's crying.
He's just pushing through. He's got a meatball in his eye. Yeah, that's just... Oh, I love that stuff. That's good. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's go and let's just check out what people are saying.
I'm gay.
What was that about? You sent a what was it? Where was the voice note that you sent today? I think this is it. Oh, here it is. This is the now that you have an iPhone, you can send voice notes to us all.
I am gay.
Oh shit! Do you want to know what happened?
Yeah.
So my other phone, I think, was on a call, and I think I might have left the.
What did you say? You were saying that? You think you don't know for sure?
Because I saw the Bluetooth that said there's a call going on. I said, "Oh shit!"
But you don't know for sure, though.
I don't know. That'd be kind of funny, because then there's that, and then the message that I texted with the other customer last month about the joint.
Yeah.
That'll turn you into a drooly infant.
I know. It's like, good. This is the guy that I'm trusting to.
She's like, she's like, yeah, it's cool. She's all right with it.
That's good. You made a new friend. All right, let's go to some super chats. See what people are saying. We have Rumble rants to get to. Got quite a few over here. Wart guy says maybe the Israeli art students were training to be handlers. I mean, it's the first thing that popped up in my mind. I mean, when you're talking about dating, it didn't matter if it was Israeli. For me, anything that has to do with dating a certain type of woman, I would think, okay, well, the woman is definitely going to be the handler, because we know how the FBI and everybody sex is the easiest way to control a person. But the fact that they are all, there's a common thread of Israeli art students, yeah. But that could have been Portuguese female art students, and I would have said, oh, those are the handlers. Let's see. Astro Emmy says, just loved your interview with Chris Ann. Frank, you are so articulate and run a wonderful professional show. I'm happy you feel that way, and I really enjoy putting the show together. It's very gratifying getting in here, putting a day's work to into practice, into play, and having it go smooth and have a good conversation, and know that a lot of people are going to hear it and that people are enjoying it, and that the growth is measurable. It's great to see that the audience is growing despite everything that is thrown our way. But thank you guys and gals so much for that. Over on, quite frankly, superchat.com, we have a few. This is from Brit P. Says, Gate here, G-A-T-E, Gate here, one of the entry tests was to read and memorize a 4-paragraph story about the zoo. We had 20 minutes to memorize as much of the story as possible, and then we had to rewrite said story as close to the original as possible with a time frame. I was one of 2 kids in my state to get 100% on it. My GATE teacher took a special interest in the 2 of us and said that they were looking for kids who can quickly pick up and memorize details. There were no windows in the room, and the door was always locked behind us. Blue eyes, complicated birth, speech therapy. I have an excellent memory, but GATE is a black hole in my mind. Outside of some imagination exercises, everything else is a blur. This is fascinating. I wish Britt, Britt, you can call in. I know it's a crapshoot. Hey, Britt, do me a favor. I don't want you to send another super chat, but send me a phone number to call, and I'll type it into the thing over here. We'll call you if you want. If you wanted to be on. If you're more comfortable doing that, then that's fine too. We'll take other calls. But that's crazy. Dooku Dan says 1972. 2nd grade school psychologist called me out of class. I was given origami paper to make the figures standing on the desk, but no instructions. I never made them before, but I made a few. As a result, I was supposed to enter some experiment. My dad refused.
Huh. Smart father, probably.
Oh, I would, yeah. Well, thank God for dads like that back then. A lot of people would be like, oh, this is tremendous. The government has taken interest in you, honey. Let's see. Stove says, Good Friday, Matt.
Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Good Friday, Matt, Frank, and the QF fam. Have a wonderful Easter weekend. Mine's with the Greeks next week. Luckily, I get to celebrate twice. I'll take double the faith over none always. As a wise man, possibly named Frank, once said, be well. Happy Easter. Thank you, Stowstube.
Who's he talking about?
Who?
The wise man named Frank.
I say be well a lot.
I know, bro. I was just making a joke.
I don't think I'm that wise, though. I pick some things up. I pass it along.
Francis the Wise.
Take a quote, leave a quote.
See? Francis the Wise.
Hello Kitty says, hi Frank and Matt. I remember the psychic program. Late 70s, these people came to your classroom for about 3 days and would individually test us. Hold up a card and ask, what is the card? So that's a little bit more straightforward there too. They probably found other ways of detecting things through less.
Yeah,
who knows?
Because if they would have came in there, eventually there'd be some smart ass kid. They would have been like, "Yeah, I knew you were coming," right?
Something. Hey, you trying to find the next Anakin Skywalker? Super Happy says, please help me wish fellow Frankly Octawa a happy birthday this Saturday. We are in Cooperstown from Florida to fulfill a bucket list item by going to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Nice.
You are going to have a great time.
You been there?
I've been there several times. I've been there like 3 times.
Here, the night sky there is amazing.
It's well, you know how the night sky is in.
I heard in Cooperstown, it's even.
It's farmland.
Darker. Yeah,
it's farmland. So it's but yeah, the sky is gorgeous. It's farmland. We've been there for an induction week, just having all these Hall of Famers walking around.
Who was inducted?
I couldn't tell. I'd have to go back and look.
You were that young?
No. We went there between. My mother took us up there. My mom and Skip took me, Anthony. One time in 7th grade, I took my girlfriend at the time, Michelle. She went up just for getting tickets for this game that we wanted to go to. We had broken up by the time the game actually came around, but I remember that. Going up there for just to be in the museum, and then one time going up there for a game at Doubleday, because I don't know if they still do it, but they have one regulation game a year at Doubleday Field, and I think we saw the Royals versus the Rangers or something like that, and it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun going up there. It's a wonderful town. It's like a town of 1,000 diners, and they're all baseball themed, memorabilia everywhere. So it's a great time, especially if you love the sport and its history. So happy birthday, Octawa. Enjoy that. Let's see. All right, let's go to some calls. The first one up is Lenny Kinney. What's going on, Lenny?
Let me get the you shut off of my screen.
Okay.
Okay. I have a lot of lapse of memory about my situation. I thought I turned you off. But it's my kids, not me. And it would have been late 70s. My son was born in 68, my daughter in 69.
Lenny, am I on speakerphone?
Oh.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. So
You're not now.
These are not personal memories, but you remember your children being scouted.
My children. And their program had either morphed into the program called MSM, Mentally Gifted Minors, or it morphed from that to GATE.
Wow.
But, and I don't remember a whole lot about it, except that the second year that they wanted to take my kids, I had second thoughts about it being a safe or a useful, or I was fearful of it. And they were trafficking them from school in the middle of the school day on a bus over to another school. And I thought that was really disruptive of their normal classroom.
Isolating them.
And it was supposedly to take them to another school to teach them higher levels of things, which I never did find out anything, and it was really secretive about how to find anything out about that. But I found out from my daughter about a year ago, way after the fact. She believes that she's been chipped. She knows that she has had a handler from that situation. and she was sexually trafficked. She was drawn out of the crowd. That was not very many kids ended up in this program, in this room, or in this school where they went. And she was drawn out of the crowd and taken down the hall and put into a separate room all by herself. She was blonde-haired, kind of hazel-eyed. My son was blonde-haired and blue eyes. He doesn't. I haven't heard anything from him about it, but I don't think they was as interested in him as they were my daughter, and that's my daughter's thoughts about it as well. They were interested in her and one other girl that was there, and they're all in separate rooms. And she doesn't have a whole lot of memories about what they were taught or anything like that. But the second year, I said no, mostly because I didn't want them their normal school day being disrupted by being bused somewhere else. And I didn't trust that.
Lynn, so in these isolated rooms, they were abused.
They were well. I don't know that that's where it happened, but it's possible because there's not a whole lot of you didn't hear a lot about it, and I didn't hear a lot about it from them. They weren't teachers that were with them. She just said, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe psychology is the best way to describe it. But they were isolated. It wasn't like in a classroom, and they weren't taught. They weren't read books or anything like that. But they were isolated in separate rooms.
Did she go into?
So my daughter was in a.
Did she go into detail about why she suspects that she has been chipped, and does she suspect it's in the armpit like this other
I hope it's in the armpit because I can't even imagine that there would have been done something to her head. That I don't know why I wouldn't have known any of that stuff. But, and of course, they'd have to be knocked out or something like that to do all this stuff. It was so covered and shrouded in lack of information that I'm embarrassed to say that I don't even know more than I do. But I would guess that it's in the arm and not in the head. But she does believe she's been chipped, and she thinks she's been tracked. She thinks she knows or says she knows she has a handler. She's been running away from it since then.
Even to this day, she thinks even to this day that
even to this day, she was in Oklahoma City about a year and a half ago, and ran from her handlers again, and she was running out into the street, and somebody in our family saw her, and she only had one phone. She had left her computer and her phone and everything in the house that she was living with the handlers, and she ended up in a mental kind of hospital place, and she got in touch with us through one person's phone number that she remembered, which was my ex-daughter-in-law. My ex-daughter-in-law posted something on Facebook. My sister saw it. My sister gave me the information, and I got the phone number from the hospital, was given it, and I was able to call her at the hospital in Oklahoma City and tell her that my ex-daughter-in-law was on the way to pick her up.
Now, Lynn,
that was her running from her handlers.
So, okay, so I have two questions. I hope they're not too personal, but does your daughter have a history of mental illness?
She has a history of acting like she does.
Okay.
But she didn't that I knew of, but she has that kind of personality that all kind of makes us go, she's that shit crazy.
So then when she talks about handlers coming after her, or keeping tabs on her all these years later, what does she describe? Like Men in Black, or we're talking about like plastic-faced people with no real features?
No,
Okay.
No, just people. Just people that were sex trafficked her, and I guess literally sex trafficked. So she was like sent to or bought and paid for by somebody, and she went and was with I don't even know how many different people, and who knows if she was drugged while she was doing any of that. And I, of course, never knew anything about it. And she was in Oklahoma City, so I never heard anything about it.
Well, this is pretty extreme. So we'll see. Yes,
it is.
I mean, out of all the things that are over here, they're eerie enough. But this is pretty. We'll see if anything like this duplicates itself in any experiences or the testimonies that comes back from this conversation. But Lynn, Lynn, thank you.
I'm thinking this can't be a one-time show. I think this is because I'm seeing all the different names that this program was called in the chat.
That in itself is very weird. And thanks again for the call, and I hope to hear from you again as this keeps moving on. But when you have something like this, Matt, that has taken on so many names, that is usually not that's something that has had to change many, many times over for a very specific reason.
Because they got caught.
Or maybe they just don't want to have too many people making it a little bit less. I don't know, maybe to compartmentalize people a little bit more. That everybody, they're having these kind of experiences and there's some weird shit going on. At least everybody's not all part of the same program. They're part of some. I mean, it's still we can put the pieces together tonight. We can see that it doesn't matter what the acronym is. It's all the same shit. But it's like that pop-up store that just shows up and it's the same people that they keep calling it different things. It's very weird. Let's go. 480, you're on the air.
Hello, Frank.
Hello, who's this?
This is Jeff in Oklahoma.
Jeff.
Great show.
Thank you so much. Welcome on.
Thank you. Hey, real quick, on the baseball issue, they're talking about the climate change in the baseball.
Yes. What do you got for us on that?
Okay. There's an easy way to test this, right? If they're saying it's the heat that's making more home runs, it's easy to test. All you got to do is go to these countries like Nicaragua, like Panama, right? Dominican Republic, where these like world-class baseball players come from, and you figure if home runs are consistently hit on a greater percentage in these countries where it's always hot, then there may be something to that theory, but I really doubt that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're putting together the makings of a formula that can go and test this hypothesis of theirs about how the climate affects the flight of the ball.
Exactly. And I tend to think, like you guys were talking about, it's probably technology, training, improvement. Because one thing these countries, these feeder countries that are always hot pretty much, unless you get up in the mountains, of course, is that there's a lot of poverty and there's not a lot of opportunity. There's malnutrition. So there, a lot of these players who are naturally gifted and everything, they may not have the benefits of the major leaguers, even the minor leaguers up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just apples to apples. It would be more, this whole, the air gets rarefied and the molecules run away from itself. To me, sounds a little flat Earth, but, that's neither here nor there.
Well, I'm glad you called in on this because I don't know, 50 home run. Who the hell's even anybody that actually? What I'm going to do? I'm going to link climate change to home run hitting.
Teams used to hit 12 home runs a year. What happened when who was it? Like Rogers Hornsby hit 24 in 1 year.
Well, that's
because the fucking climate change.
No. There's a lot of things going on. Well, Hornsby was. I'm pretty sure he was playing in the dead ball era. That's number one. But you're talking about things that changed dramatically. Even from 1920, the balls had changed since then. You get out of the dead ball era after 1919. That was one of the things that changed after the Black Sox scandal and the death of what's-his-name. But you get out of the dead ball era, and they're stitching it tighter. They're cleaning it up. The ball is getting used a lot less. They'll beat up a lot less. They're changing them out more. That's flying off the handle. The other thing is that still until the 1970s and 80s, you are, especially the 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're playing with like standard bats that are just clunky pieces of lumber. What we got going on right now with these aerodynamic, light ash bats, it's nothing like. There's so much technology that accounts for what's going on, and of course the fact that nobody's a balanced hitter anymore. It's either a strikeout or a home run. But anyway, Jeff, you said, right?
Yeah, Frank. Can I bring up one quick point? It was something you talked about last week. I didn't get through on it.
Go ahead.
But you had mentioned that you were looking for clean, not factory farmed beef, like grass-fed beef, or a source like that.
Well, I have a source, but I was saying that people need a source like that.
Well, I have a farm. I have a grass-fed hormone-feed beef farm in Oklahoma, and if you're interested or if you know anybody, keep my number.
You can ship beef all over the country?
I need to research it because I just got started in it, but I have a 100-acre farm here. I have all my cows, they're named. I go out every day and I scratch their ears when they let me get close, and I take really good care of them. But there are laws about shipping beef, across state lines and how it's butchered and everything like that. And I'm looking into that, but it's done, and it is. They do it in Omaha, they do it in a lot of places. But I'm going to look to start do that here pretty soon.
Keep in touch. Hey, email me after the show or right now, and make sure that it's a big, obvious subject line, and keep in touch, because I think anybody in this audience would love to know. I mean, if it's possible, that there are people out there who are not going to be putting any mRNA technology in their cows anytime, no matter what is mandated by a government. They're just not going to do it. People want to link up more and more with principled farmers and ranchers. So yeah, keep in touch, please.
Will do. And just on your webpage, just that email right there.
Quite frankly, podcast at gmail.com.
Yep, got it.
All right, man.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Take care. Can't say no to beef. No hormone beef. Well, anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of that coming on right now. Let me check our super chats, make sure that we're all good, and then we're going to take some more calls. Let's see. The other 1307 says occipital bun, birth trauma, potentially fatal unless in infancy, miraculous cure, literally a case ST. So a case study. So the others, the 1307 in the Rumble chat, I'd have to imagine that they were a GATE student. We'll see. We're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of things going on here. This is a big subject, man. Oh, man. 272. Who's this? 272?
Hello?
516.
Hi, Frank. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Who's this?
Jen.
Jen. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Yes. Hi, thanks. I don't know what my government-assigned acronym was, but I was in some kind of program, and I guess if you'd like to go through your list, I'd be more than happy to.
Well, I have to imagine. Well, there was early speech therapy, migraines. I don't know what meme magic, but what about premonitions and prophetic dreams?
To a degree, yes. I don't really know. I can't speak in detail to that because right now my dreams, I don't remember them when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I am convinced that there is something going on there, but I can't really speak on that directly. Unfortunately, a lot of what happened to me was tied in with abuse, and a lot of it was suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming back right now in the form of flashbacks that I'm trying to filter through. So in regards to like some of your other stuff about like blue eyes or near-death experiences, I was raised Jewish, so I didn't have the Jewish art student, but I was raised in a Jewish home. The microchip in the back of the hand, I remember sitting in class one day under the arm, but I remember sitting in class one day and picking out a microchip in the back of my hand, and when I I put it in my desk, and when I went to take it home with me at the end of the day so I can keep it and figure out what it was gone.
You discovered a microchip in the back of your hand, and how were you able to pick it out? It was just subdermal. It was right there on the top.
I don't know what it was. It wasn't really near the top per se. I had a thumbtack, and I guess I don't know if I was running around or something, but I had felt something in the back of my hand, and I was curious what it was. It didn't feel normal. It didn't feel natural, and I spent probably a couple of days with that thumbtack picking at the back of my hand trying to figure out what it was.
Well, and you had the near-death experience. And so this, like you said, you don't know what the acronym was because it seems to be changing for a lot of people, and the details seem to be fuzzy for a lot of people too. But do you remember these puzzles, cognitive games, things like that?
I don't know when it started. When I was much younger, before even entering school, I remember being boated off to islands off of Long Island and brought to some kind of facilities underneath the islands where I would undergo some kind of medical treatments and sometimes be put into rooms where I would be told to complete these puzzles before a certain amount of time in certain circumstances, and if I didn't complete them within a certain amount of time, bad things would happen, stuff like that.
Well, Jen, I really appreciate the call. I know it's for darker end experiences, because we said we're covering a wide spectrum of personal memories here. Some of them darker than others, but I appreciate the time. And if this is a return subject, then please feel free to contribute in the future.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate that. I'll probably take you up on the invitation.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you too, and have a wonderful Easter.
Okay, thank you so much.
They have that thing in Long Island, that MK Ultra base.
You're talking about the Montauk?
Yeah.
The Montauk thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on down there. Well, there's a lot that has been set up down there. Who knows what the purposes have been. There's biological. It was also a radar base, World War II radar base.
But I think there's an island not far off where, what was it? Where Lyme disease came from.
Yeah, Plum Island.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there's still one of those bases in Long Island is still active. Like, there's videos, like, people go and they explore it in the woods and shit. And
That's all still very sensitive. They don't. That's all. If you gain access to something, you're putting yourself in major risk. It's not just open for the public.
I saw a couple.
I'm pretty sure of that one.
I'm sure now they're disappeared forever, though, because that was a long time ago. When YouTube had good videos, when they let good videos stay on.
Oh, there were so,
Remember?
Did you see, before we take some more calls, did you see this? Here is some of the AI has gone out, or people have told the AI to go out and generate more images of Donald Trump, only he's now as a returned renegade kind. You've seen these?
No.
Take a look. Here's the first picture.
He's back for revenge.
There he is.
Dark MAGA.
Yeah. Here's another one. He's showing up at some kind of an underground military base.
What's on his chest?
I don't know. It looks like a respirator, like Bane. But then there's another one here of him like Bane. Oh, I don't know what this is. They're just giving him he's just coming back.
He just starts wearing a mask.
He's coming back in style, but I love the hair. How the hair has to be retooled to make sure that it hangs over the mask. Here's another one for you. Now, this one I think I love the most. He's younger again. It's the 1980s. And he's got this DeLorean.
I wish.
I don't know what that's all about, but definitely pimping. And there's the Bane. Imagine he was. I might. You know what? If he campaigned like this all throughout this year and next year, I would vote for him just because of the mask. I don't care anymore. I'll do it.
Oh, dude, actually, at the last rally or whatever he had, or before he gave the speech, shit, I can't even remember now. But the song they played right before he came on, I was like, damn, that's fucking dark. It's like, he definitely said, this is what I want to play. Like, he definitely picked this one, or someone, whoever it was, because it was dark and it, to send a message.
What about this as sending a message? Looks like he's inside. It's either he's inside the White House somewhere, or he's inside of a. I don't know.
He just starts wearing hoodies.
He's either in the White House, or he's in a Masonic lodge. Now, I think the hoodies and the masks, they have to come out for this year. No doubt about it. If he knows what's good for him, he should do that. Now I keep thinking about that CBTS test. All right, let's take a call. This one's from King 40. What's going on, King?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
What's up?
Hey, were you ever scouted as talented and gifted in school?
Well, first of all, I'd have to show up to school for them to even find that out.
They ain't getting you.
That's right. But I did have something to say about that. I got to take umbrage with the fact by being a beautiful blue-eyed white man myself, I take umbrage with the fact that we're being all painted as a bunch of chipped-out weirdos.
It's not that widespread.
That are programmed to do the government's bidding.
It's it's not that widespread. What they are saying is that they find it interesting that of those who were plucked out, many of them were blue eyes. There's plenty of blue-eyed people who were rejected.
You've seen my eyes, right, Frankie?
Oh yes, they are. They're
gorgeous, ain't they gorgeous?
They're a brilliant blue. Everybody notices it the first time that they meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, they keep
I'm
me.
sorry,
They
but go
keep
ahead.
me.
I didn't
They,
mean to interrupt you.
they keep me up at night.
Oh, nice.
Very hypnotic.
Very hypnotic.
And here's the thing too. You made a good point about them. Like the government does use hewers to take people down. We all know that. Like sex is a way they control people. But I use sex against. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They can't control me with sex. I control the sex, which is why. And if I could just say, wow, what I do? Wow, what am I? Wow, what's wrong?
No, it's just good. It's just keep going.
I'm saying something wrong.
No, just keep
But
going.
If I could just clarify too, when we was talking about my experiences with married broads and having husbands come after me because I was complimenting the nice young married lady that called in, if I could just make it clear, I'm not like this predatory creep that goes around after married women. Now, the married women always initiated that first. And I would always tell them, now, dudes, take a lesson from the king. I'd always tell them, listen, we can do this, but you gotta be cool about it. Let me tell you something, guys. They're never cool about it. Never. You know what I'm talking about?
The CIA should hire you because I think they've really gone off track. I don't think they have the nuanced approach at controlling people through sex. They need you to join the team. They should make you the CIA director. Can you imagine? Can you imagine King as the CIA director? Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, I wish that you were the director.
What would the job entail?
Oh, you would just be the head of Central Intelligence. You would be one of the most powerful people on the planet. It would be amazing. It would be scary for a lot of people. I would love to see you do press conferences and to actually have access to the most sensitive of secrets. You would know more than the president does.
I think I do already. Look at that boob.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, anyway.
Most people do. Well, you know what, though? I shouldn't say that because he does know a lot, but they got to him. As much as I hate the guy, I kind of feel bad for him because it's just, at the end of the day, he's still a human being, and he's being horribly abused. He really is.
Oh, yeah,
it's awful.
It's awful. When you have if you have an opponent, you want to be able to, if you're going to get into a fight or if you're going to get into some kind of a competition, you want the person to be able to stand their ground and be competent and win or lose on the volition of their efforts. And even though there's nothing that is there's nothing that's really noble about Joe Biden's past, the fact that he really is such a feeble old man almost makes it very, very pitiful. Like, I'm not gonna, you don't want to. It's like, it's over. Just put him out to pasture. It's very pitiful. You're right. It takes out all the will to fight him because there's nothing really there, and it's creepy that they're using his body as a marionette, pretty much.
Yeah, and like I said, regardless of the politics I always say, you said there's nothing noble about what he's ever done, but glass houses, so I really can't throw stones at people because I myself have a checkered past. We all have pasts and stuff like that, but I still throw stones. But at the end of the day, the guy's still a human being, and it's just, it's kind of horrible what they're doing to him. It kind of is. You don't like to see that done to any human being, really, if you got any kind of decency.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about.
My decency is spotty these days. My decency coverage is spotty.
Oh,
these
mine
days.
too. No, mine too. Believe me, mine too. I mean, I am a heartless fuck. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean.
Well, that's why we need you.
I do.
That's why we need you in the CIA. We need you in the CIA, King. That's why we need you, because we know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
No, it's all right. I just saying that as we're wrapping up, but it's great to hear from you again. What? Well, you had something else?
If I could just say to Mark Swan too, hey Swanee, transplants are for pussies. Ride it out till the wheels fall off, you punk.
I know he's
That's
gonna.
all.
Thank you, King.
You know he's laughing his ass
Oh
off
yeah.
right now.
Oh, he's gonna love that one. He's gonna love that one.
All right, brothers.
Take care.
Good night.
There you go. We got to take King to a ball game. Oh, Mark's gonna love that one. Transplants are for pussies. Ride it out to the wheels.
What's he getting transplanted?
He had his a kidney transplant on Monday or Tuesday, and things are going well.
Good.
And he's as he told me, he's producing pee. He's peeing for the first time in 4 years.
Is he producing cum? What? Well, that has nothing to do with the liver.
I know. It's liver. We're talking about kidneys.
The kidney.
Yeah. No, liver's a little bit different. All right, let's go and let's take a really, really short break. Come back, and we're ending the show with all of your calls. It's going to be a good don't go where. Did I do that? Yeah, no, yeah. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Why'd I get mixed up with that bitch?
Because she got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it. Jesus. Ferocious, aren't I? When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
Quite frankly.
Atrocities previously reserved for the eyes of war veterans, all thanks to the Existential Crisis Rectangle. Now I sleep for 2 to 4 hours a night due to the incessant deafening chatter in my mind. And you can too, with the help of the Existential Crisis Rectangle. The Existential Crisis Rectangle includes historically unprecedented narcissism, mind-melting algorithms, and even the complete erosion of the moral fabric of society. So don't wait. Rush out and grab your own Existential Crisis Rectangle today. Loss of virginity sold separately.
We love to sing, we love to dance, we admire beautiful women. We're human, and sometimes very human.
Okay. So let's go and finish this up strong. We were talking a lot about GATE, and I'm sure that this is going to come up again because we opened up a can of worms, man. Obviously very widespread. People have a lot. It's not uncommon for people to have had memories about this, but the fact that the memories are so vague and that the data points that overlap are so distinct and weird, it reeks of all the things that we talk about all the time. Just another way to just ease your way into the civilian population and extract human resources for one reason or another. And I wonder if it still goes on today. Has to be. Probably other acronyms. 914-595-6953. We got a couple more minutes left in the show, and let's do this. First one up is Ellerby. What's going on, Ellerby?
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just shocked. I am freaking out about this gate thing.
Okay.
I'm older, I guess, because it was pre-programmed, but I was invited to go to a camp for gifted children. And we did the card test, but it was they called it a parapsychology class. It was educational camp. So we stayed at a college, and it was after 4th, 5th, 6th, rising 7th grader. So I guess I was 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, and 13. I went all 4 years.
Was this a sleepaway camp?
Yes, it was 2 weeks, and it was all children that were invited to come, and it was educational camp for gifted children.
Was it a summertime thing?
Yes.
Okay, so for 2 weeks every summer for 4 years, you went to this thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And I loved it. But I had a couple of weird experiences that I kind of just made excuses, I guess. One year, I'm not sure which year it was, there was, I guess the head counselor or head of the camp was took a liking because I did the card test and I got all of them right. He would hold it up to his forehead and we would have to write down either the star, the squiggly, or the square, or the circle. Mm-hmm. And I got them all right. And he kind of took a shine. And he was, always talking to me or whatever. And I woke up one night on the wrong floor. And it was like 3 stairwells up from my room on the top floor. And I ran back to my room.
You had no memory of falling asleep on the wrong floor. You fell asleep in your room.
No, I went to bed in my room, I thought, and then I'm standing in the same location, but on the wrong floor, like 2 floors up. And another child was like, you're in my room. And I was embarrassed, and I didn't want to talk about it, and I ran, and I didn't know which floor I was on, and I had to go down several flights of stairs to get back to my room and go to bed.
What were you wearing? Were you wearing like a nightgown or something like that? What were you wearing?
I was in my pajamas, and it freaked me out.
But
I was embarrassed because I was little, and I don't know how I ended up there. Maybe I was sleepwalking.
Yeah, well,
but I've never been a sleepwalker.
So you've never been a sleepwalker, and if you did, it's one thing to go from your room to the kitchen to grab, a drink. It's another thing to go 3 floors up in a strange building that you're not really familiar with, and end up in somebody else's room.
Right, and I had to walk upstairs. It wasn't like I just went downstairs. I had to walk up those stairs to get there. It was strange.
That is very strange, Ellerby.
Yeah, but we did all those things, and I did have the migraines. But this was, early 80s. So I don't, we didn't have, I went to a very small Christian school, so we didn't have gifted program. They hadn't started yet in the schools around us either, or were starting to. I didn't know. But I had the migraines, the eyes. I don't remember any chips or anything like that. But,
well, hey, I was going to ask you about the chips. I was going to ask you if you've ever gotten any kind of what would be the impetus to go get a scan for any kind of foreign objects in your body. But after losing time and displacement like that, obviously you're a young kid, and this is a long time ago that you probably think about it less and less. But if that happened to me at any kind of age of real conscious reasoning, like anywhere near adulthood, that would have to be thoroughly investigated. I would want every orifice checked. I would want everything checked.
Now you're freaking me out. Well, I didn't know anything about this, but I think about 1.5 years ago, I all of a sudden started thinking about it, and I started trying to dig around to see, where these camps, and it was it was more than 1.5 years ago, because it was before the internet started disappearing. And I was able to find a bunch of stuff, and it was strange, and I wish I could still find it. But I didn't know anybody else that had that experience, so I kind of talked myself out of it. But hearing this, it's like ringing bells like crazy. So That's all I wanted to say. It was just, now I'm freaked out.
Well, hey, obviously it's very common, so don't be so freaked out. But have you ever heard any beeping sounds coming from your armpit?
No.
No, you never heard any muffled beeping sounds from any kind of a...
No.
No, nothing? Okay, so at least if it's there, it's not audible. Put a metal detector.
Back it up. No, I'm kidding.
Does somebody in the house have a metal detector? Just have that go all over your body.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I hope I'm not trying to really freak you out. I'm just saying.
I am a little freaked out.
Well, it's an incredible story. Your story in itself is freaky. I mean, to lose that kind of to have nothing but here's the thing. The reason why your story in particular is so intriguing, because so far people have just been like, they kind of like wrote it off as a weird little test that was going on. There's a lot of standardized tests that go on in school and have been for decades now. There's others that always had dark experiences or with it, or parents that just thought the whole thing was weird and they just didn't feel right. And then you have you who really enjoyed it. You loved going to the camp.
Well, we all had friends. We wrote letters and we would meet back there. And,
right.
And
right.
it was, but it was camp. So it was a totally different experience. I mean, we had our own time, but the premonitions and I've always been teased about it. A lot of that.
See, there you go. Well, then please keep on alert for any time that we talk about this stuff, because I'd love to get future calls and emails, even if you wanted to follow up with anything, because I'm sure that this is going to bring back a lot of memories for a lot of people who have otherwise just been not thinking about this stuff for however many years. Thank you again for the call, Ellerby. It's not only the fact that she was so enjoyed it, looked forward to it. It's 2 weeks sleepaway camp every year. You have friends that are associated with the program and really went into it. And other people are just being taken to other classrooms or bused to another school, and they're just doing these things locally. But to go away to camp and to have nothing but positive memories, except for one odd, inexplicable thing happened to you. This little blotch.
That's really weird.
This little stain on the sheet. It's just that little thing that's just like, what the hell is that? Where it's just a loss of time and you are 3 floors above where you fell asleep. That's
Well, I had a similar experience like that when I drove back from upstate that one time. Well, I'm either fell asleep behind the wheel for like an hour and a half or whatever. I don't know. It's like I popped up and I've never been able to find wherever the fuck I ended up before. I've tried like 3 or 4 times since I've gone back, coming back different ways to find, like, it was like this bridge where there was another bridge running into the fucking high, like, mountain tops or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Man. This was a great show. Too bad we don't have a third hour. I have to do some super chats now. Have so many other people. Have Connor calling in. 272's calling in. Ryan's calling in. James from Jacksonville's calling in. Donna. There's so many from all over the place. If we had a third hour, God knows what would come through, because what's already come through is going to be enough for, I know quite a few of you are probably going to do some advanced research on this or some journaling. If you uncover anything, let me know. This is interesting. All right, over to quitefrankly.tv. The gold pills through Foxhole. Thank you so much, Sharon. Sharon says, happy Good Friday. Have a fun weekend, Frank. I'm going to have a great weekend. I'm going to try to. Easter will be wonderful, I'm sure. And just remember, quitefrankly.tv, all Easter weekend, there's going to be very appropriate and timely picks for all the programming there. Let's see here. Thank you, Sean Joe. Thank you, Cave Toad. Says, yes, warmer, less dense, more space between molecules. Cold, denser air, very thin fluid like water ice. Okay, so if it's warmer, it's going to fly. But okay, so then is humidity the thing? Humidity and the wind factor. So if it's hotter outside but dry, would that create those home run conditions better than hot and humid? I have to imagine. I mean, the air It's thick to the touch. How does that not create any kind of physical drag on a ball? Bois Blanc, thank you. NJSF says all the new buildings in Westchester are getting huge local tax breaks. Prediction, they will go empty. Cave Toad says, check out the War Hamster on Rumble. Constitutional guy. Tell Chrisanne about him, too. And thanks for Truth Stream, too. Oh, you got it. Thank you, Sean Joe, Delona55, Emerflow says, my kids went through that testing in public school. I thought it was a good thing. Now we know. Well, yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. But you can't tell me it's all good because too much of this is weird. You know, I was a member of the National Junior Honor Society. That was nice, but that was something that was just in school. I was the president of the National Junior Honor Society.
Really?
I should not have even been in there.
What did you do?
I didn't show up to meetings. I'll tell you, it was one of the craziest things. I was in the National Junior Honor Society. I probably had academic, because I was such a goofball. I probably just qualified to be in this thing. So I had my blue sweater and my patch and all that stuff. And I was a seventh grader. I was a seventh grader, and I was being, so this is in an eighth grade school, up to eighth. And everybody was voting on who the officers were going to be. Then we're going to have this mock government, learn how to take minutes and, vote on things and all that stuff, pass resolutions. And I don't even know who I voted for. I nominated myself, I think. I nominated myself. And first, I don't know how the fuck it happened, but I had a majority of the votes. And I was the president. And I can tell that my teacher, Mrs. Cassabaum, did not like this, because was this like some kind of a protest vote where people just trying to troll those who were taking it far more seriously than I was?
It was like the 2016 Trump victory.
Yeah, because I wasn't setting this up as like some kind of a joke. And I did not coordinate with people to vote for me. I wasn't trading favors. But I remember being like, okay, well, the National Junior Honor Society meets on, I don't know, Tuesdays after school. But every Tuesday that would come around and be like, I don't want to stay after school. And I remember having to tell Mrs. Cassabaum a couple of times, I can't, I have to go, I have to do something, and I didn't have anything to do. And she was just very upset with me. You're the president. You have to see. That's the kind of president you need. Someone who doesn't actually want to be there. That's what this country would be so much better off with a completely disinterested president. Yeah. So you can trust me. I won't live long.
I know Truman hated it.
So let's see. Cave Toad, thank you so much. Sea Blanche, Delona, Cave Toad, then comes Stowstube with 3 sleeves of cookies, and then Stowstube with cans to wash it all down. Thank you, Boys Blanc, Delona again, a diamond subscription from Larkstar. Wow, thank you so much. And Witchy Poo, great show tonight, yes. Rise Attire, feels bad for Biden? When did King become a pussy? LOL. Uh-oh. Keith says, have to know these MK Ultra experiment programs would cultivate the next generation of researchers somehow. Yeah, well, either that or they're figuring out. I wonder if someone like, yeah, it would have to be researchers. It wouldn't be, well, I'm sure with how much they were doing this, there are plenty of congressmen and women who went through a GATE program or something. But I don't think that would be. And then our Cloaked Unseen said, I think I was involved in something even more advanced than GATE program. My grandfather was a 33rd degree Freemason. Well, you should write into the show and give me a little bit of an executive summary of your story. Maybe we can have you on one night to talk about that, because it seems like this is not going away. And now I think I need to find myself a really good guest who can dissertate on this with some kind of authority. So that's what we have tonight. Thank you all so much. Am I all done here? Yes. Oh, wait. The other 1307 said, I put a summary too long for in here in the regular comments and a short email to you regarding the weird program I was in. Creepy. I suspect a lot of Gen X was messed with. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, gals. We will keep this one on the back burner. Let's keep it simmering and see what comes back. Indeed. All right, Matt, anything you want to leave people before Easter break?
Praise the Lord.
Indeed. Are you going to Mass on Sunday?
I don't know. Maybe. Are you?
You weren't considering it, were you?
Are you? Are you?
I'm going to the 7:30 Mass again.
In the morning?
7:30, yeah. It's 7:30 at night on Easter. On Sunday, I'm going to go.
We're at Corpus Christi?
Either there or OLM or something. I don't know. But it'll be the 7:30 because when I went there for my birthday last Sunday, it was really great to have been out by, within like an hour or so. And the whole day we got to keep our breakfast schedule and all that. So I like the early going. But I can't wait to just sit back at some point after I hide eggs 3 or 4 times on Sunday because we have to make 3 appearances. I can't wait to just sit back at the end of the day and watch some of the stuff that's going to be on QuiteFrankly.tv. Maybe it'll be King of Kings. Maybe The Robe. I don't know. But it'll be great, especially since Monday morning I'll get to relax. I won't have a show to write for Monday night. But I'm looking forward to the rest of April now. And all the best to you guys and gals on this holy weekend. Talk to you soon. Be good to each other and write into the show if there's something that you wanted to share that we did not get around to. Until next time, get to QuiteFrankly.tv. The weekend roundup is beginning right now, and then we just we cast off. Go check out the new website. Go check out the new home. And I hope many of you start watching there from now on. That would be terrific. We will never lose sight or track of each other again. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.